Hey guys, probably one of the few times you'll see me on camera, but I just wanted to take this moment, since I'm just starting this channel, to share my own personal thoughts on collecting hot toys, really collecting anything, because it's a real slippery slope. If you already collect, you probably know that. And you know, there's a lot of different collectors out there. There's the money bags who can buy pretty much any figure they want without a second thought. You have folks who need to save money to buy that one figure that they're really looking for. And then you've got people with houses, you've got people in apartments, you've got single collectors, you've got married collectors, kids, adults, and so on and so forth. No piece of advice will apply to everyone. So again, I just wanted to share my own experience and maybe something will resonate with you. I started collecting with Play-Arts Kai, which at the time was really expensive. And don't get me wrong, they are expensive, but nothing compared to Hot Toys. When I saw my first Hot Toy, I was blown away by the quality, the detail, how much it looked like a person. And then I saw the price tag and I was like, hell no. As much as that hot toy looked awesome, I could not justify paying that kind of money for a toy. So I moved on and I kept collecting Play-Arts Kai figures. I started collecting a lot of 6-inch figures and my collection grew and grew and grew. But the Hot Toys figures were always in the back of my mind. I kept looking at them, and again, I just couldn't do it because it was too much money. Then one day, the Deadpool 1 figure was put on pre-order, and I had to have it. I love Deadpool. That figure looked unreal, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get one Hot Toy figure for I think $225 at the time, and I pre-ordered him. And then I pre-ordered another figure because the 6-inch version of him, which was Kylo Ren, just wasn't good enough. So my collection just escalated. Before I knew it, I had 3, I had 4, I had 7, I had 9, and it just kept going and going and going. So immediately one thing I realized is that I needed space for all these figures. I had a couple Detos and other ways of storing figures, but I had all my 6-inch guys in there. So they started coming out of the shelves and Hot Toys took over. And before I knew it, all my 6-inch figures were in boxes. I display a few now, but for the most part, they just went away. And I don't know how much money I spent on these figures. I spent a lot. So I realized really quickly that as soon as I saw that Hot Toys figure, I wanted it, and I was delaying the inevitable. But had I known that I was going to get Hot Toys figures, honestly, I don't think I would have bothered spending so much money on 6-inch figures. And again, that's just me. To this day, I now regret all that because I could have put all that money towards Hot Toys figures. That's what I think about. Or at least, you know, I could have saved a lot of money for life and eating out and that sort of thing. So if I were to start over, I would say once I know I want Hot Toys, I'm just going to go for Hot Toys. I'm not going to bother wasting my time, wasting my money on other figures. Unless there's really that figure that I want, which again, occasionally there is that figure that I want. So now I'm collecting Hot Toys figures. I'm collecting a lot of Hot Toys figures. When you get into a hobby so late in the game, you essentially need to play catch up, especially when it comes to Hot Toys figures, or really just any toy collection or collection in general. So I started spending a lot of money acquiring these figures that have been long gone, using eBay and spending, I don't want to say double the price, but definitely more than retail. And I was just getting them. It became addictive. I would get another box and another box, and it was so much fun to get all these Hot Toys figures. And I was filling my shelves, and all of a sudden, I started to realize I'm running out of space. And beyond that, I realized that I have these figures that I don't necessarily care about or really want. I thought I wanted them at the time, but then, as it turns out, I didn't really care for them. So I basically was buying Hot Toys figures to buy Hot Toys figures because the hunt for these figures was 50% of the fun. But then when they're in your display case, you realize if you really like it or not. So I started going the reverse. I kind of came to my senses a little bit and I started selling figures that I really didn't care for. And I changed my mentality. I decided at that moment that I was only gonna get a figure that I really wanted. If I wanted a Batman v Superman Batman, I made sure that I really wanted that figure and I wasn't gonna sell him later. There have been the occasional figures that were seemingly going to be rare that I thought they were gonna sell out, so I bought them because I thought they would sell out, but I would have to stop myself. I had that mentality where I thought this figure was gonna sell out, so therefore I'm gonna buy him. I tried not to do that unless, again, it was a figure that I really wanted. I would really just aim for the figures that you care about, that you really want, and then you'll be so much happier with your collection. Along those lines, I had the thought that, you know, hey, I'll get this figure and he's gonna be worth something one day. And that's really the wrong mentality, at least I think so. You don't want to collect figures with the assumption that you're gonna make money on it one day. And that could be true, but again, if you collect with that in mind, you're not gonna be happy with your collection, because you may get a figure that you think is gonna sell really high on eBay, and then when it doesn't, you're just stuck with this figure and you wasted some money. You could sell it, but you may not get it for retail, let alone make money off of it. So that was one thing I really made sure I didn't do. I didn't buy figures as an investment. Funny enough, my favorite figures are the most expensive figures on eBay, so great. Sorry, don't mind my light. I'm gonna leave this thing off because it's dying on me. So my favorite figures I'm never gonna sell on eBay, so these investment figures are no longer investments, which is great, right? I bought that figure because I wanted it, and now I have it, and I'm not gonna sell it. So I'm married. At the time when I was really getting my collection going, we were dating, and I got lucky with my wife because she's very understanding. She essentially lets me do what makes me happy, and vice versa. So that's one thing to keep in mind too, right? It's not just your pleasure, it's also someone else if you're married. If you're single, great, you know, have at, go ham. But, you know, I would say take into consideration your significant other's feelings. Now, hopefully you have someone who, like my wife, is very accepting of your obsession, in particular these dudes. But I have seen it become a problem with some folks where there's just a disagreement in what money is spent on. And it's obviously up to you what the priority is, but again, something to think about. The last thing I'm going to say really just comes back to money. Be smart about it, you know, learn from some of my mistakes. I have spent a lot of money on figures that I have sold for less than what I bought them for. And, you know, that's going to happen if you end up collecting a lot and you don't have the space. At this point, I sell figures mostly because I don't have the space. Sometimes because I don't need duplicates of certain characters. And that's because some of these duplicates I bought almost on a whim, because I thought it was great at the time. It is great, but now there's a new version that I like better. So, you know, sometimes you can't help that. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to share those few quick thoughts regarding collecting Hot Toys. Since I'm an advocate for collecting Hot Toys, I feel like I should probably, you know, at least speak up about it and not be the reason why someone goes broke. But all that said, it's a fun hobby to be part of. Any collecting, whatever you're into, do it smart. You know, don't let it become a problem. Don't let yourself fall into a hole that you can't get out of. And try to be happy when you're doing it. You know, have fun doing it. If you're not having fun doing it, then why are you doing it in the first place? So until next time, I'll talk to y'all there.